Now, when I talk about prayer, I'm not talking just an act alone, pray in the morning. Right? I'm really talking about the dynamics in the heart, the workings of the soul. So I want you to put your focus there, If things are not right inside you, in your heart, you cannot get into the mode of praying. And this is what Paul has went through in his struggles, in his Christian walk. Okay, so we want to read here, chapter 9, verse 16. Verse 16, yet when I preach the gospel, I cannot boast, It's not something from me, myself, Yet when I preach the gospel, I cannot boast, for I am compelled to preach. Now, circle the word compelled. Compelled to preach. Woe to me if I do not preach the gospel. And praise the Lord for what he said, Now, when the apostle says he is being compelled to preach the gospel, I would believe with all my heart that he is being compelled by the grace of God. He was never compelled by the requirements of the law, or not because this is a good act of what a Christian should do, So he is being compelled by this. I would say the fervor in him moved him to witness, to preach, not because of his fear or of losing blessing or whatever. So, but we want to ask, what gives him this fervor, this compelling heart? Now the question is this: what gives him this fervor, compelling heart? Now the first thing I get is because he knows the truth. It's from the truth he knows first. It always starts from the truth, right? The glory of this gospel, how God came to save sinners from sin, the truth, the preciousness of the gospel, pricelessness of the gospel. So every day, the truth is always the truth. But then you want to ask, I know the gospel also. I know the truth also. Why am I not being compelled to preach the gospel like what he did? So that makes me think deeper to understand that when he knows the truth, he also prays through the truth. Now, that's very important. You pray through it, not just by hearing the gospel truth alone every Sunday or during meetings. It is, if you're just doing that, it is not going to be so powerful and compellingly working in you to witness unless you pray through it, confirm it, So you have to get into prayer. Why? When you talk about evangelism, witnessing to people, minister to youngsters, remnants, you always go back. Why the compelling heart is not there? When you hear me speak, the Spirit is there. When I'm preaching, I'm talking about 36 lessons, the doctrines, the concepts, this is religion, this is gospel, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No, everyone just fall asleep. You know why? The compelling heart is not there. The Spirit is not working through your heart, it's only working through your head. Okay? So I pray all the time so that I could always see the glory of God. I could always see the glory of the gospel working through me, working through my conscious mind, everywhere, my hands and my legs, my mouth, everywhere. I'm talking, blessing people. Yes, even at home when I talk to my wife, we talk and pray as we talk, those things, and things get to us. The concern of the gospel gets into us. We get so compelled and convicted about talking about the gospel. And remnants, you should live like that, you shouldn't be just compelled to check your handphones, You're compelled to preach the gospel through your prayer. And then verse 17, now, if I preach, now, notice, if I preach voluntarily, I have a reward. I have a reward. If not voluntarily, involuntarily, I am simply discharging the trust committed to me. Now, over here, we will see that the Apostle Paul faced a struggle. Why he preaches the gospel voluntarily, heartily. There are also times he preaches it involuntarily. Now, of course, we all like ourselves to be in the former, where we do things willingly, heartily. It's very easy to do it that way. I'm fervent for Christ. I care about His glory. I desire to come to church. I desire to witness about Christ, and my colleagues. No, when you are doing something very heartily, voluntarily, it's very enjoying. All right, it's very enjoying. No, it's empowering. So people always want to be in that kind of state. But what the apostles show us that right now, he also has to preach the gospel involuntarily. So not very heartily, so as to speak. Which means to say, now, when he do it voluntarily, there is a fervor there, pushing him to do it. So he do it heartily. But when he does it involuntarily, it could be many reasons. Tired, torn in the flesh, discouraged, being persecuted, involuntarily. When it's involuntarily, there is a passive strength in him. Now, it makes the Holy Spirit more obvious in that sense. Don't you think so? There's a passive strength. I want you to experience that. When you don't feel like coming to church, when you don't feel like talking about God, when you don't feel like doing anything good to your brethren, I'm not voluntarily, but because of the truth you already know, because you have always experienced deep communion with God during prayer, the truth is so much embedded in you that when it comes to a time when you're tired, discouraged, not willing, but strangely, there's a passive strength pushing you inside. Do it, my son. And he does it. And the more he do it, the more he becomes strengthened. The more he becomes strengthened inside him, in his inclination. And glory be to God. Now I want you to experience that. Don't you think so? No, we are humans, limited humans, But the Holy Spirit is given, the unlimited, awesome Holy Spirit given us that is above anything, that could do all things, When it comes upon this limited human being, yes, sometimes it gives us the zeal, the willing heart. Sometimes we're totally out of strength. But it just lifts us and convicts us to move forward. And do it even out of responsibility. It may be out of responsibility, but as you do it, you're liberated, you're strengthened. Now, this is the way Paul has prayed. And this is what he has gotten through deep prayers in his life.